Alright guys, welcome back to another horror room movie review, and as you can see, I finally got the poster I wanted. The next series is obviously Child's Play. This is one I'm really looking forward to doing. I think this is going to be a really fun series to watch all these movies again. And I just got done watching Child's Play 1. I wanted to get this poster with Chucky cutting the Jack-in-the-Box because this is my favorite one. As a kid, I would go into the movie store and I would always see that cover, and it was just all the Chucky movies. I mean, I definitely remember them all. Seeing all these old horror movies, the Chucky movies, Hellraiser always stood out to me, Candyman, but they just had such iconic covers back then. And I really liked this one, so I thought I'd get the poster for movie number 2, and I do have the poster for the next series after this coming, so that this doesn't happen again and I can catch up, get back on schedule. So I'll be doing Child's Play 2 on Wednesday to make up for last week. That way I don't miss any weeks or anything. So hopefully I can get back on schedule with this. I do want to give a thank you to my friend Beware Galactus for letting me use his Friday the 13th poster. I'll put the link to his YouTube in the description. He's the guy who did most of the Friday the 13th series with me. And on to Child's Play, just a great movie series, and it does get really goofy towards the end around Bride and Seed, but I do have fond memories of the first 3 movies, and after watching this one, I have to say, this is a good movie. You can just see why this would creep so many kids out in the 80s. It was just so well done. A lot of the times, they build the suspense. You don't see Chucky, you just see like this little, like the camera just moving, and when you eventually see him come to life, it's really like out there and it's really cool, and they build that up the entire movie. So I really like that. And this movie came out in 1988, $9 million budget, $44 million at the box office, according to Wikipedia, obviously. So I guess that was a success. I mean, it brought on the franchise. I hear they're making a new Chucky in 2013. Which I'm really looking forward to, called The Curse of Chucky. But then again, that's also one of those types of things, like movie series, where I'll believe it when I see it. Kind of like Sin City or Arrested Development, the movie. When it's out, I'll believe it then. So it starts off with Charles Lee Ray. He is a serial killer. He's being hunted by Detective Mike, and he gets shot. His friend Eddie, his accomplice, drives away. I thought that was kind of strange, why a serial killer would have an accomplice, but that's how they start the movie. And his friend Eddie saves himself because the cops show up and drives off. So Charles Lee Ray gets shot, and the closest thing is a toy store. So he goes in the toy store, and he's wounded, and he realizes he's dying, and he sees the good guy dolls. And what he wants to do is he wants to perform this ritual to transfer his soul into the body of a good guy doll. Now, when he sees the good guy dolls, he instantly gets all happy. And I was wondering why. Why does he instantly believe that this is going to work? You can't really do this multiple times. And he didn't do it before, so why is he so happy? I mean, the man is dying, and he sees the good guy doll, and he's like, yes. Well, you don't know it's going to work. You don't know if you're going to be able to transfer your soul into the Chucky doll. So I thought that was kind of funny. But as we know, he does. Lightning strikes the store, blows it up. Detective Mike goes flying but lives, and he sees Charles Ray's body. So then we see Andy, who's a little kid. He's like 6 years old. And he is a huge fan of the Good Guy Doll cartoon. He's got the cereal, he's got the pajamas, he's got everything. He's a huge fan. It's his birthday, and he sees this box, and he thinks he's finally going to get his Good Guy Doll. So he wakes his mom up so he can open his presents, and he's disappointed he only gets clothes instead of his Good Guy Doll. At work, Andy's mom finds a guy in the alley who has a Good Guy Doll for sale, and she buys it for like $30, and she goes back to work. Her boss is a huge dick, and he tells her she has to work tonight. So her friend Maggie says, that's fine, you work, I'll go home, I'll watch Andy tonight. So Andy gets his good guy doll. Finally, he's super excited about it. And creepy things start happening instantly. Chucky sees on TV his old accomplice Eddie has escaped from prison. Andy tells Maggie that Chucky wants to watch the news. She's like, haha, yeah, sure he does. Let's go to bed. So she puts Andy and Chucky to bed, and she goes and she's putting some dishes up, and she hears the TV come on and sees Chucky sitting in front of it. So she gets really mad, thinking it was Andy. And late at night, she's reading a book, and she hears some noise in the kitchen. She finds some sugar spilt on the floor, and she goes to clean up the sugar, and Chucky hits her in the eye with a hammer, and she goes flying out the window to her death. So we don't see Chucky jump up and hit her with the hammer. We kind of just see it from Chucky's point of view and like a little arm with the hammer. And they do that for most of the movie, like I said earlier. And I thought that was a great touch. So Andy's mom comes home. She sees the police everywhere. These police are just chilling in her house. I mean, I'm talking feet on the coffee table reading a newspaper in her house. And Detective Mike tells her what happened. He asks about the little footprints in the sugar, but Andy's shoes are clean. Andy sees the sugar on Chucky's feet and goes to tell the detective. Of course they're not going to believe him. So later that night, Karen hears Andy talking to someone. And she asks, who are you in here talking to? And he says, Chucky. So she starts getting concerned, obviously. And Andy says his real name is Charles Lee Ray, which I'm surprised didn't set off any red flags for his mom, Karen, because, I mean, he was a serial killer who was just murdered. It's been all over the news, and her 6-year-old son just said Chucky told him his real name is Charles Lee Ray, and she thinks nothing of that. Maybe she's busy with work and didn't know. I don't know. But then he says that Chucky told Andy that Maggie was a real bitch and got what she deserved. So his mom is instantly like, what? I'm surprised she didn't slap the hell out of that kid. But Andy tells her, yeah, I made the whole thing up so his mom doesn't worry. And the next day, Andy and Chucky are riding the monorail to school, I guess, and Chucky tells him to go to Eddie's. So Andy goes to use the bathroom, and Chucky goes in the house, turns the gas on the oven, and Eddie hears someone in his house. He fires the gun, house explodes. Obviously, police show up, and they see Andy here again. So they're getting very suspicious of this kid. Not saying necessarily that he's doing these things, but something's wrong with this kid. So Detective Mike has Karen come into the station, and they think Andy needs to stay with the doctors for a few days. So Karen goes home alone. She's got Chucky with her. And back at the house, she checks the good guy doll box, and the batteries fall out. So she's instantly like, what the hell? So she picks up Chucky, she opens the back, and there's no batteries. And his head spins around, Exorcist style, and says, I'm Chucky, wanna play? And she drops him and he rolls under the couch. So she pulls him out from under the couch, and she tells him to talk, damn it, or I'm gonna throw you in the fireplace. So Chucky finally comes to life. We see the facials and all the animatronics, and they get into a fight. He bites her, and he escapes from the apartment. So Karen goes to meet Detective Mike, and he still doesn't believe her. You can't really blame anybody for that. And Karen says she's going to go find the peddler who sold her the doll in the first place. Mike says it's a dangerous neighborhood, so he knows he's got to follow her. So Karen goes to see the peddler. He tries to rape her. Mike shows up, gets the information where he got the doll. He says, I got it from the burned down toy store. So Mike is instantly like, that's kind of strange. Not strange enough to believe that the doll is Charles Ray, but it's pretty strange. And Karen is asking him all these questions. She wants to know, she does believe, because she saw him come to life, that it is Charles Ray, and she wants Charles Ray's address. She wants to find Chucky. So Mike tells her, reluctantly, his address, and as he leaves, Chucky pops out of the back seat and tries to strangle him. So he burns Chucky with the cigarette lighter in the car. And so Chucky starts stabbing through the seat with a butcher knife. And I found this scene really funny because he's stabbing him and then he's stabbing the bottom of the seat. So Mike is kind of like sitting up so his ass doesn't get stabbed with this knife trying to drive the car. And he eventually wrecks it. Chucky comes after him and he shoots him, and then Chucky takes off. So Karen goes to Ray's old house. She sees all this weird ritual stuff painted on the walls. Mike meets her there in the creepiest way possible. I mean, he slowly sneaks up behind her from the shadows and says, "Karen." Like right behind her. And I was just like, dude, what are you doing? So he meets up with her and he shows her a picture of this voodoo guy from Charles Ray's file. So Chucky shows up at the voodoo guy's house and he asks why it hurt when he got shot. And the voodoo guy says, well, the longer you're in that body, you're going to turn human again. You're going to be trapped in that body fully human. Meaning you can die, you're just going to be looking like a good guy doll forever. So the voodoo guy, Chucky wants help. He wants to get out of the body. And the voodoo guy says, I'm not going to help you. Everything I've taught you, you've used for evil. So Chucky pulls out a voodoo doll of this guy. Why in the hell would you make a voodoo doll of yourself? That blew my mind. But Chucky pulls out the doll. He breaks the guy's arm. He breaks his leg. And he says, tell me how to get out of this body or I'm going to kill you. And he says, well, to get out of the body, you have to transfer your soul into the body of the very first person you told who you really were. So Chucky's like, oh God, I can't believe this. I got to turn into a 6-year-old boy now. And then he just stabs the doll anyways and leaves. So Mike and Karen get to the voodoo guy's house, but they're too late. He's dying. He tells them that they must save the boy and to go for Chucky's heart. Because Chucky is almost human now. Excuse me. Chucky is almost human now, and if they shoot him in the heart, it will kill him. So back at the institution where Andy is, Andy sees Chucky coming for him. And Chucky climbs into the institution. He's climbing up the stairwell, and he gets into Andy's room, but Andy hid, so he escapes. And as Andy is escaping, the doctor catches him. He's like, Andy, we're going to help you. He tries to sedate him. Chucky jumps out, attacks the doctor, puts this electroshock helmet thing on him, and just shocks the guy to death. I thought it was a really cool scene. It wasn't too like goofy with the gore. It looked really well done. Like it's kind of like a slow thing. He slowly just starts to bleed from the eyes, and I think his mouth turned black and stuff like that. So I thought that was pretty cool. And Andy escapes. He heads back to the apartment. Chucky comes in through the chimney, and he hits Andy in the back of the head with a baseball bat. He just pops out and says, batter up, and hits him. And so you see this like 6-year-old kid just get taken down instantly. Chucky goes to perform the ritual on him when Mike and Karen show up. Mike goes after Chucky, but Chucky attacks him with the bat. He's about to kill Mike, and Karen shoots him, but then the gun jams on her. So she grabs Chucky, she locks him in the fireplace, Andy sets him on fire. Chucky's running around the living room burning to death. He's all charred and stuff, and they think it's over. They think it's finally over. They've burned him. He's not moving. He's melting. And Andy goes to get the first aid kit for Mike. And Chucky's gone. So he comes back after them, and Karen shoots him, and she blows Chucky's head right off. She blows his arm off. She blows his leg off. She busts another 2 caps into his body. And then Mike's detective friend, or cop friend, or whatever, shows up, and he's like, what's going on here? I mean, like, that's it. Like, really calm. Like, what's going on? I mean, hearing all these gunshots, knowing that all these people have been getting killed, and he's just fine. He just walks into the house like, hey, what's up? So he goes to check out the doll, even though Mike tells him not to touch the doll. And he goes and he gets the head and he brings it back and he sits it on TV. He's like, this thing's not alive. And then Chucky pops out of the grate, tries to choke him to death, and Karen tells Mike to shoot him in the heart. He shoots Chucky through the heart, and we finally see blood actually come out of Chucky. So as far as we know, that's it. And then they just look at each other and they realize no one's ever going to believe us. And that was it. That was the end of the very first Child's Play movie. For me personally, I have done, the Leprechaun movies, Friday the 13th, and those two series, and I really am excited to do Child's Play because just as a fan personally, this is one of my favorite series. I don't know, I guess it's just being a kid when the movies came out, and it's kind of like, it is a horror movie, but it also interests kids to a certain degree because it is about a toy, and toys coming to life and killing people, that's going to creep out any kid. So I have a lot of nostalgia for this series, and I'm really looking forward to doing it. So Child's Play is the next series. I'll have Child's Play 2 up Wednesday. I hope you guys like this movie series too and enjoyed this video. Leave your thoughts on the first Child's Play in the comments below, and thanks for watching. Bye.